Welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts and this is True Divine, and it is another write-in on the wall regarding Facebook and the name change. And so to show an image of the name change regarding this, I'm going to share with the screen here, share the screen and give you an image of it to look at. Most of you have probably seen it already. Here we go. So it's meta, wouldn't you know? And you can see here the infinity sign, the Two of Pentacles, the infinity sign shown in the divine feminine, divine masculine strength card above the divine feminine's head. This is a symbol of the infinite. And so this is a lot of what I warned about in this other realm. I could feel them building, this other level, this other reality, separating realities, very, very much so a while ago. And it kept coming up in readings that this sort of, not just AI as we know it, but thinking on a much deeper level, the building, the feeling of them doing a layer that was not there before, to snap people up in there, keep them there in this realm. And that it would be very weird because it was a realm built within a realm, so to speak, or a dimension built within a dimension, however you want to relate to it. But I could feel it happening. And it came up quite a few times. So when they came up with this name and this symbol, as particularly if you look back at my videos about the colors of the spells, the blue spell and yellow spell that they've been using throughout all of this, the yellow tents, yellow contamination, blue ties, blue parties, all of those things that are brought up. Again, we see Facebook following the lead to build this other realm, dimension, this other reality with the blue infinity sign and the name Meta. And so this was just, hey baby, this was just confirmation for me as to what has been going on with this. Put your head up, you can't come on. And so what has been going on with this is that Facebook has always been part of going towards building this other place, this other snare, because they've been a huge part of it from the start, being built for purpose, to collect data, to really get to know us on an intimate level regarding who we are, what we look at, like and actually then practicing, and I know of this, practicing social cultivation by deliberately using the algorithms to recognize things that might upset certain people and making sure that people see lots of those types of posts. Thank you, baby. Yeah. All of those things where, you know, a person has certain likes or they've mentioned them in a message on Messenger, then they'll start seeing advertisements or lots of posts regarding that something. And so they've been using this to build what Facebook is turning into now, which is a rank in a new type of army regarding keeping people in their boxes, regarding keeping people in their place, directing people as to which place they think they want to be in. So really going and upping the ante as regarding controlling people's thoughts, taking people's thoughts away from them, etc., etc. So if we look at this symbol and then take on board the things that were coming up in readings regarding me really feeling this, you know, level being built, a new level in the game, so to speak, a new dynamic social scoring system to be built into this very controlled group that will end up in this realm. And so this is where it really does, you know, I'm going to be doing everything I can. I need to survive in business. It's really hard to make that decision, isn't it? To get things built elsewhere when it's so hard to get people to actually join in, even to get subscribed to. It's very difficult to make that decision because you have to wait up on survival when a lot of your clientele come to you via Facebook, so they know exactly what they're doing. So, but we will need to move away from it. It will not be an option for a lot of us really soon, like not an option at all. The darkness behind this whole thing is so, it's so sickening, you know, that, and people will think they've chosen things for themselves. They'll think they've gone in the direction that they chose to go in, which is sad to me. And so this is where we see yet again where we are taught, we are conditioned and controlled to work so much in the linear time, in the short fleeting lifespan of this physical body. We are taught that, we're conditioned to focus in on that. Whereas you see with the elite and the puppets behind them, you see that they keep it in the family. You know, the purpose is taught generation to generation, and they still have our knowledge of infinity and the fact that we are infinite energy source. And so they actually use that, they use that real well, real strongly, in that the children are taught what their purpose is, and it's always in this next stage of the plan, which means I feel that they've got ways and means of being birthed back into the same family. And even if not, they have our knowledge of just how infinite they are and just how they can affect even changes in this realm after they've transitioned out of this body with their loved ones. And so again, this is a slap in the face to say, yeah, we're working in the infinite, and we're working on having infinite life. And so for that, the next stage for us would be to build a slave race within another reality, wrapped up in a old reality, to have that, and for us to be uploaded as the elite into this realm, to be controllers of even this realm. And so we see that the symbology behind this is so deep, and it stands for so much. And again, it is strong because the intent behind the symbology, this is our symbology too, and it's a beautiful symbol, but the intent that is behind any symbol is what changes the outcome of that very powerful symbol, those very powerful frequencies held within our consciousness and within that symbol. It really does have strength. And so hopefully me getting this and getting it much earlier on also, and seeing how Facebook now ties into those old readings about them building this separate place. Hopefully it gives people a bit of an insight to claim back that symbology, to separate it from its power towards you, because your intent is to recognize it as powerful symbology and take on board that, yes, I am infinite. Therefore, I don't need to conform or be liked by you and your new realm, because I actually recognize I work in the infinite too. So I'm going to be here for my purpose. I'm going to be here to fulfill my purposes. And then I'm going to make sure my fruits are strong. I'm going to make sure my fruits have knowledge and wisdom to use that knowledge. So it's a way of making, taking account of what I see and putting it out there so that you can help me, you know, take back the strength of that symbology for yourself, but be aware of what they're actually doing. And so they've got the data, because that's what Facebook was built for, the data, in that they've had years now to collect data on all of the people involved on Facebook. And at this point, you know, they can absolutely say that we've got enough data to move this off into the next stage of the plan. So now they have the metadata, and it's into this new game, this new cycle that they're building. So this also will tie into that God particle that I've mentioned in the brain that Gen Z brought up, that I found really interesting, in that there's been many studies via CERN and other places of people's DNA, certain strands, certain DNAs being, and certain people's having more susceptibility because of this God particle, as they call it, in the brain, that makes them far more susceptible to the story of needing to worship something, to feel the guilt and feel the weight of the disappointing of that something, i.e. a God, whatever kind of God they build for that person or that type of person. That person's going to be far more susceptible to just giving over of itself to this built God. And so they know that they have a certain amount of people that are highly wired to receive whatever information they are given through frequency. And because now they're ready to use that technology on a more seen scale, and it'll be wrapped up as something else, something wonderful that brings you know, a lot of ease of life, always the ease of life being the play to sell things. These people will be hearing the voice of God through these frequencies, through Meta, that was Facebook. So this is where they really will be working in the infinite, trying desperately again to hook into consciousness itself of an individual. The kind of battery that builds for you being able to build a reality for the masses is huge. And so this is where they are at with this. It's brought about also, I don't know what that noise is, sorry. It's brought about also that it is so important that you do recognize that you are the infinite. This is our year for change. It's our year, as it is theirs, to build this false infinity for themselves, to be infinite when they ask us not to remember that we are infinite. We see that this year is very important for us to take that message on board too, to really hone in to the fact of your power and your strength. And part of that is accepting the infinite nature of you and starting to push the boundaries of what you've previously felt you're able to do with your consciousness, with your elements, with how you can build a reality around you too, with manifestation, all of that and more. And so this year is a 5-year, because we've got the 2021, that is 5. So this is why they've deliberately been attacking this freedom of speech thing, creating lots of victimhood in people, so that through the 5, you know, the throat chakra, you're speaking the words that they want you to speak, self-deprecating, or you're actually making your words poisonous in your throat chakra because you're biting your tongue, you're not saying your truth, you're not speaking your truth as much as you feel led to do so, and creating these victims within the society, you know, giving them these labels that they now sort of feel they are, even if that is a pineapple. This victimhood always being spoken out over self of, I'm a victim, I'm a victim of hate from that side, I'm a victim of the gender I was born as, I'm a victim of all of those things that people are speaking about. And so they've used this year, because they are working in the infinite, because they take on board our knowledge and keep it from us, and we let them do that. They're using the 5 with all of its power and might, as we have seen. We have been played in a lot of ways to feel bad about what we're saying. And believe me, with Meta, that is going to get much worse if we don't stop it. In that they're also talking about, in absolute conjunction with the announcement of this new name and new symbol, in absolute conjunction with this, in the UK, they're discussing a law that they're going to pass to say that people who are abusive, that psychologically hurt somebody can be arrested for anything that they put online that might cover that. They're not saying who defines the psychologically aggressive, or they're not saying what defines that bullying or whatever. They're just not saying that. They're just saying this law that we want to bring in to protect people. And a lot of people will go for it because a lot of people have fallen into that victimhood. So they're tying this all up nicely in that, you remember the words about the thought police? That will come back around with this meta. They'll actually be using that consciousness energy, that conscious source energy that can build realities around this physical body. They're going to be hooked into that for many, many people. They're going to be into that infinite loop. So not just recognizing the infinite nature of themselves, but also recognizing and using the many infinite natures of each individual that they trap into this realm dimension. So the Temperance card comes up because this is a 5 card, in that it is 14, 1 plus 4 being 5. And so the Temperance card comes up here in that there's this alchemy that is going on for those that want to control everybody, and they're using our alchemy to do it. This is where we really do need to take on board that we are alchemists. We are energy sources, and we can transmute our energy and really push the boundaries of our consciousness, as we're supposed to be doing in this this year of change, but also being very cognizant of the power of our throat chakra and making sure that we are speaking our truth, and that we have conditioned ourselves to speak positively over ourselves, to speak lovingly over ourselves, over our children, to really not go with the whole mask thing and the whole freedom of speech thing, which was the spell. It was again an illusionary tool to say that you needed to do both of these things: cover up this womb, this mouth that these magic spells come out of with the throat chakra, and also cover up the thoughts, so that there's not that birth of the zapping of a thought coming through the brain, and the words, the air of the throat chakra that would create the words that come out of this physical womb. So they put up barriers to all of this area. Why? Because now they're ready to go for the head. And this is where I speak about this God particle, about this other realm that they're building through AI and through this meta, this Facebook that is turning into meta. And so Temperance is the creation of using energy transmutation to be able to transmute energies. And so this is where they're going to use this on a scale of alchemy way up here, in that they're hooking into many energy sources, but they're going to be directing far more than they ever had before the intent behind that person, actually even creating the thoughts in their mind, rather than just even zapping those thoughts and using them. That creates big business for marketing. It creates big business for Parliament, for government in general, with directions of opinions and sides and votes. It creates big business for the war machine. You know, it creates big business for things happening with guns, to mean that, you know, they can then feel even safer in their ivory towers as controllers, because one of the last standing places that has guns, things could happen that way directly to people's brains, to create something that will create a wave, a force of wanting these scary individuals, you know, all of these victims being built, scary individuals with guns. And so again, this is such a multi-layered plan. It's fun to unpick in a way, but it's certainly ain't fun to comprehend or see in visions, because the way we are going, they are way ahead of us. And if we're not making new plans and new stands for ourselves, then we will be assimilated one way or the other, or we will have these two dimensions, as I say, all dimensions, you know, banging up against each other. It's not as if these people are just going to all just disappear. It's this reality within a reality, so to speak, a box within a box. And so, you know, where telepathy would be if the density of this place wasn't created, where they are harnessing our frequencies that literally come from the stars and distorting them via satellite. You know, telepathy would be here on an even grander scale than it already is. What do they do to cover that up and try and compete with that? Is they, again, number 5 and the letter G. And so this is where they, again, veil over our wonderful and brilliant abilities to put a cheap and more damaging replacement to veil over that. So things like that will affect this reality that people who aren't hooked into this new reality are in. So it is important to start creating, to start making your stand where you can, and planning and really hooking in and expanding your power within your own consciousness to recognize, 1, that you're infinite, and 2, that you can play, you can build in that consciousness and get good at bringing it into the reality. And so we're seeing this transfer with this new God, same as the old God, with more abilities God, through the number 5 and that letter. And so this is where they're moving us from even paper to the ether, to the invisible, to the unseen. So again, moving that currency of ours that is our consciousness, our untangible, you know, unseeable, powerful space, powerful aspect of us, and they veil it with their cheap, what's the word, substitution. And so, like the stories of the old God taking over territories, you know, it's always actually been about taking over territories, hasn't it? And that represents even in the bodies, also the bodies of the individual. We know that we can speak out and we can plot without a shadow of a doubt key circumstances where different things have been brought into this reality that did not exist before, that attack various aspects of the body and the elements that we are all building our foundations from. So not just the physical body, but the energetic body also. And so this one is the number 5. And from the 5, the throat chakra, they're going to have people speak out what they want them to speak out through this directional programming by this new meta and other things. But this is a huge aspect of it. It's a huge cover-up label to transfer over this aspect of the great plan. And so this is where people will hear their old God, as they think, as a new God in their minds. And so from the transference of paper to ether, we also have the transference, which is a comment I've just left on Wayne's latest show, regarding the what I warned about ages ago, the transfer of the church and people thinking the church is dissolving. And yes, in a way it is. There are many people not quite understanding where they've been standing on all of this that's been going on for the last 2 years. But I've been warning people also not to get too complacent about that. Yes, it's great. Every soul saved from that energy drain is a win. But they're not going to be, unless it is recognized, they've served their purpose. And so they, again, not believing in the way that they tell you to believe in this God of old, they again are absolutely looking to be absorbed, like in World War II, where those scientists and experimenters and doctors weren't all given the end that they should have been given, but the lower hanging fruit was with the Nuremberg Code. But then, as always, countries saw an opportunity to then absorb, as they were told to do, I feel, from those above them that are countryless. And again, have always acted in the infinite and in the worldly view. So they were absorbed, weren't they? Given that fake identities, given plenty of money, and given huge, powerful spaces and places within governments, within NASA, within science, universities, dotted around various countries in the world. And so we see that the church is just going to be absorbed by this. So we can't be complacent, because this is how they wipe their sins clean. Every different cycle that we go into, they wipe their sins clean, because they are literally just changing the name, repackaging, relabeling, and absorbing the important components of whatever it is, whether it's science, church, schools, politics. But really it's the same people just being absorbed into the new face. And so this is where that comes in, and we can't be complacent on that also, because these churches, these establishments, the Vatican has so much to answer for as to the history and time loop that we have been in by these controllers for so long, that it's unimaginable to actually try and comprehend what should be done because of what has been done under the guise of those churches, again, around the world. And so it's super cool to get excited about the church, about people not going, but there is that aspect to it as well. And now we'll go on to the in this new realm that is being built. This will be a new stage, and we would have to comprehend how this actually impacts the old stage, where many people will be trying to build other things. It's important, and it's super hard to comprehend just what impact this will be when it plays out, but it will be difficult to keep your head, to remember that you are infinite, to remember and cling on to your knowledge that you've gained so far and your wisdom that you've learned to use thus far, as this new realm, this new reality becomes more and more apparent. Because there will be a balance to this with temperance, as to there would have to be some force from this reality to stop that reality having such an impact on food supply, on the abilities to work. If this new realm gets powerful and full up enough, it will definitely impact this dimension that we're in right now, or that we feel we're in right now, negatively, because obviously they want to squeeze as many people up into there as possible. And so it will be difficult to see beyond this new veil. It will be difficult when our technologies that we could be using for good right now in this 5-year, the Temperance card being the Aquarius card also, in the new cycle of Aquarius, it's going to be super hard for us to cling on to our remembrance and be discerning as to what we enter into. And when I'm saying all of this is because I'm not afraid of the technology. It's going to come in anyway. Aquarius is technology, group working together, and the thinking outside of the box. But what they are doing with our technologies is that they are just building a bigger, stronger, more invisible box. And so it really is important for us to remember our prosperity, that these things that I say do not come with the old label where the church seeped into the spirituality realm of, oh, you've got to be poor to be good, you've got to be meek and mild to be good. No, we need to prosper too, and we should be prospering with the technologies that we have to hand and more, but also be discerning as to who's delivering these technologies and how are they being used, and really dig down deep into that to be able to cling on to our remembrance of who we actually are, and not to sell ourselves out too easily or at all, when we see these new fancy things that read your whole body health in a millisecond, and continuously upload that, you know, that's not good when the people who've been creating ill health are in control and have the power over these technologies right now. So it's just something that I needed to mention, because I know it hooks into the other readings that I've done where I've been feeling them building this other realm. The other writings on the wall also, where I've mentioned that you can feel that they're building this, just so that you can be cognizant of it and discerning about it as to what it is, and exactly some of the plans that they have to use it for. So much love, balance and wholeness. I appreciate you all listening, sharing, liking and subscribing. I love you all, and thank you for those who support already. Mwah.